This isn't about Pearl Davis. This is about what happens when an intellectual heavyweight's life work is reduced to a hollow soundbite by someone who cannot read, comprehend, or defend the text. When Pearl Davis sat on Ethan Klein's podcast and tried to invoke Thomas Sowell to justify half-baked talking points about historical slavery, she completely collapsed under cross-examination. She weaponized his name as an unearned shield, freezing the second she was asked to define the mechanics, and ultimately retreating behind the panicked defense. I was just reading a book by Thomas Sowell. She didn't understand the work because she didn't own the work. She didn't understand the mechanics. Thomas Sowell exposed how cultural narratives around slavery have been deliberately mythologized and distorted to serve modern ideological agendas. Regarding Alex Haley's roots and the popularization of these historical fictions, Sowell wrote, "Contrary to the myths to live by, created by Alex Haley and others, Africans were by no means the innocents portrayed in Roots, baffled as to why white men were coming in and taking their people away in chains." Instead of engaging with actual historical rigor, commentators like Pearl take a macro-level analysis of global human history and reduce it to a clumsy catchphrase on a podcast. Sowell's actual framework points out that slavery was a universal human horror spanning every continent and civilization for thousands of years, entirely separate from the localized narratives pushed by modern activists. Of all the tragic facts about the history of slavery, says Sowell, the most astonishing to an American today is that although slavery was a worldwide institution for thousands of years, nowhere in the world was slavery a controversial issue prior to the 18th century. Sowell's entire corpus is a merciless indictment of the exact intellectual laziness and narrative distortion that low-tier commentators rely on for clicks. As he diagnosed about this class of actors, quote, "Intellectuals may like to think of themselves as people who speak truth to power, but too often they are people who speak lies to gain power. When you invoke a monument of empirical scholarship such as Sowell while running an outrage loop built on the exact opposite of his methodology, you aren't doing historical analysis. You are engaging in intellectual shoplifting. If you cannot carry the methodology, keep his name out of your mouth."